You know that feeling, right? When you're learning something really technical, maybe like coding or project management, but often it's math. And it just feels like pure memorization. You're just cramming formulas, procedures, focusing completely on, the mechanical side, just hoping you get the right answer.
Yeah, just grinding through the steps.
Exactly. And that kind of rote learning, that reliance on just memory is actually what a lot of big educational bodies are pushing back against now.
Like who?
Well, folks like the NCTM and the OCDE, they run the PISA tests, they're all saying true competence, real skill, it's way more than just getting the answer right on the page.
Okay, so what is it then?
It's about understanding the why. Why does this work? And also having the flexibility to use what you know in totally new situations, things you haven't seen before.
Applying it. Makes sense.
Right. So our mission today in this deep dive is to basically give you a kind of roadmap. We're going to unpack this framework built around 3 levels of mathematical thinking. They're called procedural, conceptual, and applied or strategic thinking.
Okay, 3 levels.
Yeah. And they depend on each other. And the idea is once you understand this framework, you suddenly have this amazing tool. You can diagnose exactly where your learning is strong and, maybe more importantly, pinpoint exactly where the weaknesses are.
And it's interesting because this isn't some brand new theory we just cooked up, right? This model synthesizes quite a bit of research going back decades, actually.
Yeah.
It's a very deliberate move away from that old idea that just being fast and accurate means you know something.
Right. Speed isn't everything.
Not at all. This gives a much richer picture. You can even trace roots back to people like Polya and his work on problem solving.
Yeah.
It really redefines what mastery looks like.
Okay, so let's dive in. Where do we start? Level 1.
Level 1, yeah. The foundation. Procedural thinking. This is the how.
The how. Okay, so procedural thinking, that's basically the execution part, like following the steps, the algorithm.
Exactly. The sequence of steps, applying rules, memorizing formulas accurately. It's knowing the techniques.
And the key things here are what? Fluency and efficiency. You need to be quick and correct.
Precisely. You need to be functional at this level. It has to become almost automatic.
Okay, give us an example, like multiplication.
Perfect. Let's say you have a standard problem, like 235 times 12/2. The person strong in procedural thinking carries out that standard algorithm correctly. They manage the carrying over the columns.
Yeah.
They get the right answer using that known, efficient method.
Right. The way most of us learned in school, probably. Methodical, step by step. Needs discipline.
Absolutely vital, that procedural fluency. Research, like from Hubert and Lefebvre back in '86, calls this procedural knowledge the understanding of symbols, rules, algorithms needed for tasks. But here's the really critical point they make. While it's essential for being fluid, it actually frees up cognitive resources, which is huge. Doing only this is just not enough for real mastery.
Frees up cognitive resources. What do you mean by that?
Well, think about it. If you have to stop and consciously figure out what $5 times 3 is, every single time it appears in a bigger problem.
Right. Your brain gets totally bogged down.
Exactly. You can't possibly tackle the higher level, more strategic part of the problem if you're stuck on the basic mechanics. Level 1 needs to be automatic, almost unconscious, so you can save that brain power for the harder stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. So level 1 is the mechanics, the speed, the how. But where does that aha moment come in, that understanding? Is that level 2?
That's exactly. Level 2 provides the structure underneath. If level 1 is how, level 2, conceptual thinking, is all about the why.
The why. Okay, this is where I feel things often break down for people. It gets interesting here.
It really does.
So conceptual thinking it's the deep understanding, right? The principles, the concepts, how things connect under the procedures from level 1.
Yes, it answers those fundamental questions. Why does this procedure work? Why does multiplying 2 negatives give a positive? What does that equal sign really mean? How do fractions and decimals relate? It's the network of ideas.
And this is where you get flexibility, the ability to generalize.
That's the payoff. Flexibility and generalization. Let's go back to $12 times 15 times.
Okay.
Your procedural thinker might just stack them vertically and multiply like we learned. Perfectly fine, gets the answer.
Right.
But someone thinking conceptually might see it differently. They might instantly break it down, like mentally see it as $10 plus 2 times $15.
Like using the distributive property.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They apply that property. 10 times 15 plus $2 times $15. So 150 plus $30, that's $180.
Yeah.
They're not just blindly following steps. They're using the meaning of multiplication, its underlying principles.
That's a really clear difference. One is following a recipe. The other is understanding the cooking principles.
That's a great analogy. And researchers like Skemp actually made that distinction years ago. He talked about instrumental knowledge, just knowing how to use the tool, like the recipe,
Right.
versus relational knowledge, knowing why the tool works, how it connects to other tools, how to adapt it. And he argued, and the research supports this, that relational understanding is way more powerful. It lasts longer.
Yeah, I can see that. If you forget the exact steps, the recipe, but you understand the why, you could probably figure it out again.
Precisely. If you only have the procedure memorized and you forget a step, you're stuck, lost. So this is why bodies like the NCTM really emphasize that deep understanding requires connecting both. Conceptual and procedural knowledge aren't sequential stages you finish. They have to work together.
Two sides of the same coin.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the tools, the how from level 1. We've got the theory, the why from level 2. Now what? Level 3.
Now we reach the top.
Level 3.
Strategic or applied thinking. This is about purpose and context, the what for and the where.
The what for and where. Okay, this sounds like the most complex level.
It is, because it demands that you take everything from levels 1 and 2 and actually use it. You have to deploy those tools and understanding to model and solve problems that are, well, non-routine.
Non-routine, meaning problems where there isn't an obvious formula to just plug in?
Exactly. No single algorithm just jumps out. You have to make a plan. You have to choose the right strategies from your toolbox. And, really importantly, it involves metacognition.
Thinking about your thinking.
Yes. You have to monitor your process. Does this make sense? Is this plan working? Should I try something else? The really tricky part is often just translating the messy, real-world situation into something mathematical in the first place.
Okay, let's use that garden example from the source material. That sounded like a good level 3 problem.
Yeah, the garden fence problem. So imagine you've got 20 meters of fence, right?
Okay, 20 meters.
And you want to build a rectangular garden. The challenge is, what dimensions, what length and width will give you the absolute biggest area inside that fence?
Ah, okay. So it's not just any rectangle, it's the biggest one. That's the non-routine part.
That's the strategic challenge. Now, how might someone tackle this?
Well, I guess you could just try different numbers. Like, if one side is 9 meters, the other side has to be 1 meter, because 9 plus 1 plus 9 plus 1 is 20. Area is 9.
Okay, trial and error. That's one strategy. Keep going.
So 8 and 2. Perimeter is 8 plus 2 plus 8 plus 2 equals 20. Area is $8 times 2 equals 1617 better. 7 and 3. Perimeter 20. Area $7 times 3 equals 20111. Even better.
Good. So you're testing dimensions. That requires level 1 fluency for the calculations and some level 2 understanding of perimeter and area. But the decision to use trial and error and recognizing when you've likely found the maximum, that's level 3.
Or could someone do it, like, algebraically?
Yes.
Yep.
If their conceptual understanding is deeper, they might think, okay, perimeter is $2 plus $2 plus $2, plus W $10, will be your 8. Then 1 have $10, nice 4, or $1 plus $10 by 2, 2.
Ah, and that's a quadratic function, a parabola opening downwards.
Exactly. And they know conceptually that the maximum value occurs at the vertex of the parabola. Finding the vertex uses specific procedures, level 1, based on conceptual knowledge, level 2.
But the choice to model it algebraically, recognizing it's a maximization problem solvable with quadratics, that whole leap.
That's pure level 3 strategic thinking. Planning, selecting the advanced tool, connecting it back.
Wow, okay.
And that ability to formulate the problem mathematically, choose and use the right tools, and then interpret the answer back in the garden context, that's pretty much exactly how PISA defines mathematical competency.
So level 3 is where competence really lives.
It's the apex, yeah. And it builds directly on those classic problem-solving steps. Understand the problem, devise a plan, carry out the plan, and then look back, check your answer. Foundational stuff.
It separates the classroom exercise from actually using math in the world.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, this idea of integration you mentioned earlier seems really key now. Let's unpack that. The sources say these levels aren't just steps on a ladder, right?
Not at all. Not strictly hierarchical where you master one and then move on forever. They call it retroactively interdependent.
Retroactively interdependent, meaning they influence each other back and forth.
Exactly. It's more like a cycle, a virtuous cycle, ideally. You might hit a really tough level 3 problem like that garden fence. And struggling with it might suddenly reveal, oh, wait, I don't actually understand parabolas that well. That sends you back to shore up your level 2 conceptual understanding.
Or maybe you understand parabolas fine, but you keep messing up the calculations when finding the vertex.
Right. And that tells you, okay, my strategy was good, my concepts are okay, but I need more level 1 practice on these specific algorithms because I'm making too many calculation errors.
So understanding this structure isn't just academic, it's like a diagnostic tool for your own learning.
Immense diagnostic power. Instead of just saying, I'm bad at this or I don't get it.
Which is what most of us do.
Right. Now you can ask, where is the breakdown? Is it
Right.
procedural fluency, level 1? Is it conceptual understanding, level 2? Or is it the strategic planning and application, level 3?
That's so much more useful. The sources talk about the tridimensional construction, right? What happens if there's an imbalance?
Yeah, the consequences are pretty clear. If you only have procedural skill, you're basically a mechanical calculator.
Fast, maybe accurate, but brittle. Can't handle anything unexpected.
Exactly. And if you only have conceptual knowledge, you're the inoperable thinker.
All theory, no practice. You know the why, but can't actually do the calculation reliably or efficiently.
Precisely. True mastery needs all 3 dimensions working together.
Okay, let's use that diagnostic idea. Back to the garden problem. A student fails. How do we know if it's a level 1 failure versus a level 2 failure causing the level 3 problem?
Great question.
Okay.
Level 1 failure. The student understands they need to find the dimensions that make the biggest area. Maybe they even set up the modeled x10, xx egg idea. But they consistently make errors multiplying or adding or finding the vertex coordinates. Their plan might be okay, but the execution, the procedural fluency breaks down. They get the wrong answer due to calculation mistakes.
Got it. Arithmetic errors sink the ship.
Right. Now, level 2 failure. The student might be able to calculate $8 times 2, 2, and $7 times 3, 3 perfectly. No arithmetic errors at all. But they fail because they don't fundamentally grasp why the area changes, or they don't understand the relationship between the fixed perimeter and the variable area. Maybe they don't get the concept that a function like this has a maximum value, or how to think about finding it.
So the strategy fails because the underlying concept is missing or shaky.
Exactly. The strategic breakdown stems from a conceptual gap, not a calculation gap.
That distinction is huge. It tells you what to study. Don't just drill calculations if the problem is conceptual. Don't just read theory if the problem is fluency.
You got it. Study smarter, not just harder, by targeting the right level.
And this obviously has big implications for teaching, too, not just learning.
Massive implications. The sources really highlight this pedagogical challenge. We need to shift education away from just covering the curriculum, which often ends up being very procedural, very quantity-focused,
Yeah, ticking boxes.
towards promoting quality learning. That means deeper investigations, more open-ended, contextualized problems like the garden example. But that's hard. It often requires significant changes in how we train teachers, empowering them to teach conceptually and strategically.
That's a big system change.
It is. And there's a cultural challenge, too, isn't there? We have this widespread idea that math is just about counting or getting the one right answer super fast.
Totally. Being good at math often means being quick at arithmetic.
We need to shift that perception
Right.
socially and for students to embrace math as this creative, logical, problem-solving tool. That cultural shift is almost a prerequisite for truly integrating these 3 levels well in schools.
Okay, so wrapping this up. To really master a discipline, especially something like math, you need this balanced blend. You need the how, that's procedural fluency.
Yeah.
You need the why, the deep conceptual understanding.
Got it.
And you need the what for and where, the strategic ability to apply it all in new contexts.
The trifecta. And the best way to learn or teach fosters that continuous cycle between all 3. They feed each other.
Right. So let's leave our listeners with a final thought, something that comes straight from the source material. It argues that if we really buy into this 3-level model, then how we evaluate learning has to change too.
Makes sense. Evaluation drives learning, after all.
Right. So it can't just be about quick, single-answer tests anymore. Evaluation needs to measure all 3 levels. That means asking for justifications, looking at the process someone used, not just the final number, seeing evidence of conceptual understanding and strategic thinking.
More complex assessment, definitely.
So here's the question for you, the listener, to chew on. If we accept this idea that true competence requires all 3 levels, think about some real-world test or certification you know. Maybe for a job, professional skill, anything. Doesn't have to be math. Does that test rely too heavily on just measuring level 1, the procedural instrumental side? Just checking if you can follow the steps.
Interesting question.
And if it does, how could that assessment change? What would it look like if it were forced to genuinely measure Level 3, the strategic, relational, adaptive problem-solving component. Something to mull over next time you're facing a learning challenge or even designing one for someone else.